Welcome back to my Keep Up channel. Teenagers say Rishi Sunak's national service plan is a winner, but voters of all ages say they have mixed views on the idea. National service plans laid out by Rishi Sunak today gathered mixed reactions from voters, but some of the 18-year-olds it would apply to think it could be a winner. Under plans that will be in the Conservative manifesto, all 18-year-olds would have to do paid military service for a year or unpaid community work one weekend a month. The Prime Minister and his senior team said the scheme would benefit those involved, with Home Secretary James cleverly saying it would get them out of their bubble and boost social cohesion. In Rishi's hometown of Southampton, as well as in London and Newcastle, voters of all ages spoke to Mail Online to give their take on the radical plan. Many teenagers said they think it is a good idea and could give people their age some direction, but others feel it is a big ask. Older voters also expressed mixed views, with some hoping it could help kids with their lives while others called it a gimmick. Max Ferber, 18, from London, thought the plan was a good idea and could be beneficial overall for his age group and the country. He said, "I know that other countries do the exact same thing, in particular, the Norwegian countries. I think it's a good thing to have people do a service for your country, whether it's voluntary work or military work, and I think it's beneficial overall." Although Max, who has considered joining the military himself, is supportive of the idea, he expressed doubt that others his age would get on board with it. He said, "I think it's a good idea, but I don't know how well it will go in practice. I just think that a lot of people probably think it's a waste of time. I personally don't. I think it would be good, but I think a lot of people would rather just focus on themselves. I think there's a push away from military use anyway in recent years, and I think some people argue against it and think that there's a need to have a big military. Others would say we could get rid of it totally. I just think that most 18-year-olds don't want to be in the military." Mother to two teenagers Karen said, "I think there's an element of that which is useful, but as a mum of two sons, I would worry. I would hate my sons to be in the forces, that's something that would really frighten me. But I can see there being a relevance for it because there are 18-year-olds who don't have direction. Maybe that would give them some direction. Focus, discipline, that type of thing." She added that youngsters in today's culture, where we are a lot freer in our choices, may find the plan too regulatory. Rob Docherty, 50, thinks it is a great idea after being positively impacted by doing voluntary work himself at the National Trust. He said, "I get so much out of it, and it's hard work. It's real physical graft." Rob noticed that young people from inner cities who volunteer alongside him always leave with joy on their faces after finding a sense of togetherness with each other, and believes that national service could have the same effect. "I've spoken to lots of people in Spain, Italy, Croatia, even Russia, that have national service as a definite thing that they have to do it. The guys and girls that do that seem to be more rounded individuals afterwards. They seem to be less resentful about the world in general, because it makes them see a little bit of life that maybe they wouldn't have seen before. So I think it's a great idea." Firuza Shukurova, 31, from Azerbaijan, shared the same view that national service could be good for the younger generation and allow them to see real life and reality. She said, "I think that it's not a bad thing, especially for this generation. They need some kind of social service to see the real life and reality." However, she thinks that teenagers would be too scared to take part. James cleverly has confirmed that the military service would only be a small part of the scheme and that those teens who refused to take part would not be jailed or face any other criminal sanctions. Speaking to the BBC, he raised the prospect of non-military service taking the form of acting as unpaid special constables, St. John's ambulance medics, or environmental workers. The shock move, which is modeled on systems already in place across Europe, galvanized the first full week of the election campaign. Mr. Cleverly said that in other countries with similar schemes there is a very, very wide scope, take-up, acceptance, and enthusiasm for this. The Conservatives would want to make sure the program fits with different people's attitudes and aspirations, Mr. Cleverly said, adding, "Too many people live within a bubble within their own community." Mr. Sunak today said the reinvented scheme would provide life-changing opportunities for our young people, and declared, "As a father, I look forward to my own two daughters doing their national service. I think they will find it a rewarding experience." He added, being British is about more than just the queue you join at passport control. In response to Mr. Sunak's proposal, teens in his hometown of Southampton, Hants, said whilst the scheme would be good for increasing work experience among youths, it may not be accepted by all and should not be mandatory. Hugo Markiston, 19, described the proposed policy as a positive thing for younger people who need a steer in the right direction. He said, joining the Army, Royal Navy, Police Force, I think it's quite good experience. It's good for those who are involved in bad things. It's better than working part-time, you're also helping people out, as well. If you're in bad place, then it's a good way to sort of turn your life around. The mechanical engineering apprentice said he has heard a lot about the benefits of joining the Royal Navy and said national service would be a good way to develop experience across different industries. Student Shannon Vaughn also believed the service would be a good way to gain insight into the military. I wouldn't mind doing it, especially because I want to go into the forces, the 17-year-old said. I think it would be a good opportunity to test it, but at the same time, not many people our age would want to. I think it's a good opportunity for young people to know what they want to do. There's not many things that steer us in a direction. But, I think that young people that don't want to do it could mess it up for people that do want to. I think it should be more of an option than mandatory. Another 17-year-old Southampton College student, who wished to remain anonymous, said the policy could be both positive and negative for young people. I wouldn't mind working at the NHS, I suppose it's helpful, she said. If it helps, I would be happy to do it, but I don't know much about it all. But, what happens if you're working? Is it manageable with studying? I suppose if it goes towards your work experience that could be helpful. Student Tom Levitt admitted he has never had any interest in joining the military and said the proposal is a big ask for young people. The 18-year-old said, I don't see many people going for it. His father, Richard, said, I think it's a gimmick. It's a big ask and the fact you're having to do it voluntarily. I kind of understand the sentiment in one respect, trying to bring back a sense of national identity. The 55-year-old hedge fund trader said this is something that has been eroded for decades. When I was my son's age, it was in the 1980s, and it was a very different world to what it is today, he said. I think it's a gimmick, and who's going to fund it? It's going to cost billions. The Tories estimate the programme will cost £2.5 billion a year by the end of the decade and plans to fund £1 billion through plans to crack down on tax avoidance and evasion. They said the remaining £1.5 billion will be paid for with money previously used for the UK Shared Prosperity Fund, UKSPF, which is a package to support charities and community groups. In Newcastle, engineering student Jacob Scahan, 21, said, I would happily do 1 or 2 weekends a month helping the NHS or something similar if it meant doing my bit. That would be fine for me. I think a lot of my pals would have been relaxed about it if it got brought in when we were younger. A lot of younger people will probably say yes, we will do it if you want us to, but I'm not sure if it's something that would excite them. I think asking people to do a bit every so often is fine, but joining the army might be too much for some people. One young woman, 20, who wished to remain anonymous, said, it will expand skills among young people, so I agree with getting younger people into the NHS or into the policing service for a year. I'm not sure many people will agree with having to join the army, but I still see where the government are coming from. It's also something that other countries have, so it's not exactly brand new. However, fellow student Grace Greenway, who studies history at Newcastle University, thinks Rishi Sunak has scored an own goal. The 21-year-old said, I think it's terrible. A lot of young people don't agree with the Tories anyway, so I don't think this will help things. We're not in the 1940s, and I think a lot of people aren't going to listen when it comes to joining the army service. The Prime Minister is saying it will help the youths who need more discipline, but at that age, you're focusing on other things such as career paths. It's a campaign tactic, and I've already seen people on the internet mocking it. There are other things to be worrying about. Jack Dixon, an 18-year-old chef, will just miss out on being called up should the Conservatives remain in power. He said, I don't agree with it. I don't see how it's fair to get people to do this sort of thing if they already have stuff planned out. I would be a bit worried about it if I was 17 about to turn 18. I don't think my friends would appreciate it being brought in either. However, the older generation in the city think the idea can only benefit the country. Sam Harrison, 76, used to be part of the Territorial Army as a teenager. The retired council worker, originally from Cockermouth, Cumbria, said, "I think it's a good thing because it might help the kids with their lives. Whether it's within the community or the military, I don't see what harm it would do. I was in the territorials for a lot of years and it did me no harm. It taught me how to get on with people and how to work with them." The plan to reintroduce national service was drawn up in secret, with only Mr. Sunak's close advisers, understood to include former Tory leader William Hague, privy to the details. In their confidential 40-page plan, the advisers argued that the growing international threats posed by countries such as Russia and China needed to be addressed by beefing up our armed forces, as did the listlessness of many young adults. Nearly 750,000 18 to 24-year-olds are currently out of work, and this age group is disproportionately represented in the criminal justice system. In his article for the Mail on Sunday, Mr. Sunak writes, "Our pride in our United Kingdom should not blind us to the challenges it faces. One of those is that generations of young people have not had the opportunities, or experiences, they deserve, and too much potential is wasted in purposeless lives of crime or unemployment." He adds, "We must do more for our young people and our young people must do more for our country. After all, our country is only as strong as what we all contribute to it." This new national service will give the coming generation an opportunity to learn valuable life skills while contributing to our country. For some, it will open their eyes to potential careers. For others, it will forge a culture of service that will make our society stronger and more cohesive. National service was first introduced after the Second World War for all able-bodied men between the ages of 18 and 21. More than 2 million were conscripted to the armed forces between 1949 and 1963. MPs from various parties and political commentators have been weighing in on the conversation with views just as mixed as those of voters. Labour's Rachel Reeves branded it a gimmick and Reform UK President Nigel Farage said it was a joke and totally impractical. Source: dailymail.co.uk. Please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching.